like Sector Institute, Training Council, and many other organizations. Ashish holds a BTech in Mechanical Engineering from IIT Bombay and MBA from IIM Calcutta. So it's an honor and pleasure to invite Ashish on the stage for delivering a special address at our event. Welcome, sir. Ashish. You can take.
Good afternoon, friends. It's a pleasure and honor to be in front of you. I used to be a banker, many of you are bankers, and I have a lot of stories to tell of my sort of past days. But basically, how do we use technology to reach out to the masses? I remember the story, in fact, the story of banking automation and also stock market automation almost started together. I was in IDBI in '91, just joined in grade B, and my first exposure to technology was that IDBI gave a contract to Modi University to buy computers, PCs for everyone, and we had a 43 crore contract in those days, which was pretty large. Today is probably 430 crore or something like that, and we had all the PCs in every boss's cabin covered with plastic. Nobody opened it. It lasted forever. And so that was the experience. And later on, within few months of having the computers, the entire officers and the staff went on strike. And we had a strike lasting for 40-50 days. And as a young person, I was completely amused, saying, what is the problem? And the problem was that there was a perception that computers will take away our jobs. And so the officers were worried, and the staff was worried, and so on and so forth. But later on, things went all right. They were allowed to computerize, although most people didn't open the computers at all. But that is very vivid in my mind, that how Indian automation in banking started in a what I call wrong foot. And now that we are starting with PM Jan Dhan Yojana, every day we are practically adding up crores and crores of accounts. We have come a long way. But how did this story start? How did this nation get connected? A nation which was so reluctant to automate, to computerize because of the unions, because of the fear of job losses and so on. So how did we do this? And that brings me to my own story. That around 92, there was a person called Harshad Mehta, and the market went up, and he thought he was running the markets. And then there was a finance minister, he thought because of his policies, market is going to go, market is going up. Somewhere on the line, there was a mismatch, and the markets went down when the scam got caught. And that is the time government realized that we need fair, transparent, efficient markets. And they told IDBI to set up another exchange which would act as a model exchange in debt market, because most problems were in the government debt office and so on and so forth. The trading on the stock markets in those days used to happen on floor. A floor which is around 10 times or probably 20 times larger than this floor. People would go to each other. There were 2,000-3,000 people in that space. And since 2,000-3,000 people are there, you couldn't hear anything. So they would say this is sell and this is buy. Okay, and then if he catches first sort of this way, then it is 10. Second is 20 and 30, because you couldn't hear anything. And then they will write down who they have sold with, because a badge would be there and so on and so forth. So that was the sort of status of trading in stock markets those days. When we were told to set up the National Stock Exchange, we were also worried that how this automation will work, because earlier one more exchange was set up and that failed, called Over-the-Counter Exchange of India. And so we had to learn a lot of lessons. That Over-the-Counter Exchange of India still exists, but not many people have now bothered about it. But we had to learn a lot of things about how to provide technology and so on and so forth. So we created a framework called Satellite Communications Network. In those days, a telephone in Bombay would take around 5 years to come if you were lucky. If you applied, it will take 5 years to come. And if you are to connect on a dial-up modem, it will take probably 2-3 hours for one connection to happen, and it will drop in a few minutes. From there, we came to a framework which was able to connect India to less than 2 seconds response time. Where basically, how does many of your technologists in banks, so just to give you a perspective on why it takes 2 seconds for a SATCOM to connect, is that the light travels at the speed of 3 lakh kilometers per second. And the satellite, a geostationary satellite, is around 36,000 kilometers on top. So it goes up, then goes down, it's 72,000 kilometers, then it brings back the response and it comes back. So it's around 1,44,000 kilometers it comes back, and that's how almost half a second just goes in the travel time, and then the response which comes from the computer and so on and so forth. So that was what we say 2 seconds was our response time in those days. That how, I mean, if a person anywhere in India places an order, you would give a response time in 2 seconds. That was in 1994. Once that framework, in fact DOT was opposed to allow the private sector to use the satellite communication, because DOT thought that the satellites belong to them and people shouldn't use it because they will use it for research and so on and so forth. We had to actually force ourselves into saying that we will use it for commercial purposes. As soon as the SATCOM was used in India for stock markets, within a few days or few weeks, the banks started using it for connecting the ATMs and branches and so on and so forth. And that's how all the entire India got connected. It was literally a national integration of India in a different way, in a very silent, very sort of unseen way. Today, India is fully connected because of the banks are connected, stock markets are connected, through mobiles are connected, and so on and so forth. So that was basically how the trading system got automated and the banking system got automated. We went from manual to automation in 90s. Early 90s was basically time to do core banking and so on and so forth. Some banks did much later, but that is the time the core banking framework started. That is the time all the branch networking started, and that is the time the stock market started getting automated. So from manual to automation, it was very easy. But today, if you go from automation 1 to automation 2, that is, you have taken a core banking system of 1990s vintage. Most of the core banking system today are 1990s vintage. They are very inflexible. They are hugely costly. They are very difficult to operate. But can you change them? It is extremely difficult to change. It is easy to go from manual to automation. But automation to second automation is practically impossible. Imagine 50,000 branches have to be on the same platform on the same day. It is not easy to change your technology going forward. Many banks in the US became automated before us. They became automated in 70s and 80s. And they had an issue of Y2K. But today also, many of them are still on their old mainframes. They are not able to actually change it, because if you change, who will bend the cap? All of us are salaried employees, and if you take the risk, nobody is going to give us medals, right? But if things go wrong, then we are in trouble. So most of us will continue to basically work with what is being given and say that let it go. Why should I start going around changing it again and again? And what is it that in it for me if things come out right? But if things go wrong, I will be in trouble. And that's why automation 1 to automation 2 is something which we have not actually attempted anywhere in India. As soon as NSE became automated, we realized that it was basically written in a language called PL1. It is pre-COBOL, pre-Fortran, pre-everything. NSE still works on the same frame. It was bought, this technology was bought from a company called TCAM in New York. And so as soon as NSE was set up, we realized that this is a very inflexible system. It is very difficult to change because every day regulations change, RBI comes out with new regulations, SEBI comes out with new regulations. We have to continue to change everything. So you need to keep an army of people from various software agencies to just keep on changing, and still it's very difficult. to change. Whereas the new technology allows you to paste faster, don't have as many bugs as you actually encounter with the earlier versions. But NSE set up a team in 1997-98 to change the trading system. Until date, they have not been able to change. It is 2014, 16 years, and they have not been able to change. What has happened is, NSE kept on adding more and more hardware. Hardware improved, so it kept on taking more and more load in terms of the number of orders, number of trades, and so on and so forth. Similarly, BSE happened. BSE used to run on a platform called Tandem. NSE used to, it still runs on a platform called Stratus, which are called non-stop hardware, where in case you take away one CPU, it will still work, because the other hardware, what we call cloud now, is basically run on commodities hardware, but those days there were specialized hardware, and effectively today a cost of a non-stop server vis-a-vis a commodity hardware on the same capacity is around 50:1. So the specialized hardware, which don't go down, is around 50 times costlier on the same capacity, on the same speed. And you may not get a speed because they have to connect to each other continuously in terms of all the CPUs have to know each other and so on and so forth. So 50 times more cost you are paying, but you don't have a choice, because if you change it and if it goes wrong, you are in trouble. And so BSE was on a system called Tandem. NSE was on a system. Tandem then got acquired by HP. Now it's called HP non-stop servers, if you have heard of it. And NSE is still on Stratus servers. Somewhere on the line, when I joined BSE, we had an issue. BSE was slower than NSE throughout the period, 20 years, from 1994 to 2013. We had an issue that when I joined BSE was giving response time of 300 milliseconds. It had ability to take 5,000 orders per second. NSE was giving a response time of 10 milliseconds, 30 times faster. In 1 second, there are 1,000 milliseconds. So both were giving very fast response, below below seconds, in fraction of second. But still, NSE was 30 times faster. So we worked hard on Tandem system to make it 10 milliseconds to match NSE's, but NSE worked hard to take it to 2 milliseconds. So again, we were 5 times slower in 2011. And we had to take a call saying, can we run with this system and die, or take a calculated risk and change our system? In April of this year, on April 8th, April 6 people went home on Friday, and when they came on April 8th, they were on new system completely. Today, my system is able to give you response time of 200 microseconds. In 1 second, there are 10 lakh microseconds. And I will take it to in next 3 years, I will take it to 20 microseconds. With a capacity of 5 lakh orders in a second. So if I place 5 lakh orders in a second, I have to give you response time on medium basis of less than 200 microseconds. 5 lakh orders is a huge number. IRCTC, which is considered one of the larger automation projects in the country, IRCTC, when it does 5 lakh orders in a day, it is considered an achievement. They issue press release. And many people print it. I can do it in 1 second. With a response time of 200 microseconds. When we brought it to India in April, nobody could measure the microseconds actually. The response time of, you have to measure it, right? Then only you know it's a performance, otherwise you can only claim. And we had to import equipments to ensure that we are able to measure, and we have to give timestamps to everything and so on and so forth. So why I am telling you this story is that we had to go from manual to automation. We had a huge floor. When we went in 1995, BSE went to become automated, it was easy. But from 1995 to 2014, when we had to go from automation 1 to automation 2, we did not have gone. We would have died, I would have, over 20, 30 years, because BSE has a lot of money, it can keep on giving us salaries. But we had to take a call, saying, can I go into the newer situation? Can I go into a newer framework? But I have literally 3 lakh terminals across the country in 2,000 cities. which connect to me every day. And I have to ensure how do I change all that technology on one day. And they are not my employees, unlike a bank where ATMs are in your control, they are employees, right? A branch is in your control. I have nobody in control. BSE's total staff strength is around less than 500, including staff and officers put together. 3 lakh people, how do you change them on one day? And we have to create a framework so that people who don't want to change, they don't have to change. We created a middleware by which they actually place the order, and the middleware interprets and takes it to the new software, and sort of it's transparent to the user if they don't want to change. They get slightly slower response time. Instead of 200 microseconds, they may get 400 microsecond response time. But at least you ensure that there is a seamless transition into going for newer technology. But this was a change we had to do. We had no choice because we were losing market share continuously. And many of you will have that sort of dilemma going forward, saying how do we actually end up doing this. And that brings me to another issue of risk management, because we trade at a speed which is now 200 microseconds, 5,000th of a second, that is the response time. In next 2 years, I will be in 50,000th of a second response time. And most of my orders are now coming from computers. Computers are taking my data, defining whether they need to place orders or not. Today, more than 95% of the orders on BSE come from non-humans. Human intervention is zero. It's decided by computers, placed in, and I need to do risk management. If by chance some of them end up placing orders which they are not supposed to place, if I don't have the margins from them, what happens? It will create a chaos. And my systems are able to take all this data. I have 2.6 crore users registered with me. Anytime any one of them trade, I manage their portfolio risk on real-time basis. Mark to market happens on real-time basis. The margin calculation happens on real-time basis, and they are allowed to place margins with banks on real-time. Everything is totally, completely, thoroughly automated, but in a response which is fractions, 1 by 5,000 of a second, not a fraction, but beyond that. And that is where basically we had to work very, very hard on. Even we had to work very hard on the networking side. Earlier, when I was giving 10 millisecond response time, a network within the same building, a 200 millisecond response, nobody bothered. But when my main system is giving you 200 millisecond response time, how do I reduce my 200 millisecond round trip on the network? Today, my co-location, that is in my building, there is a facility for brokers to keep the computers. From that place to the computers of BSE and back is 20 microseconds. So each and every component of your network, your systems and so on and so forth, you need to continue to optimize and change. And that is where, for me, the promise of the automation is that earlier, the markets and the formal finance, whether banking, insurance, microfinance, health insurance, anything, mutual funds couldn't reach people because there was a cost attached to it. If you had to go to a small village in a small town or a small town, a branch setting up is hugely costly. Today, with mobile handhelds, I think you can go and visit some of the exhibits. You can literally have your business correspondents moving around with biometrics and all, giving you an ability to connect to the main central database in fraction of a second. And that is the promise that earlier the formal finance couldn't reach the masses because of the cost considerations. Today, at a really low cost, we are able to reach out. Today, BSE is present in 2,000 cities at practically very low cost, and we are available on mobile, we are available on internet. Many of the orders come through internet, many of the orders come through mobile, and that will be true for banks also going forward. And for me, that is the promise that today a Sarda scam happens or any other scam happens is because we have not reached there. Because of various reasons, one of them is cost. Today, we have a chance to reach there, and for me, Prime Minister's Jan Dhan Yojana is basically a part of that, that today is the sweet spot, sweet time, where we have reached a technological situation where we can actually spread out and give all the subsidies and those specific accounts. You can open bank account for everyone, and also a microfinance account, lending, insurance, and so on and so forth. And that is where, somewhere on the line, for me, we need to be constantly searching for technological solutions. If we continue to remain on old, we may not be doing a great service to the nation. If you continue to upgrade, update, it will give you more flexibility, ability to create newer structures, newer ways of doing things. If you don't do it, newer payment banks are coming, newer small banks are coming. If you don't do it, today they are called smaller banks, later on they will become larger banks, larger than you. HDFC Bank in 94 was nothing. Today it is practically the highest market cap having bank in India because of automation. Somewhere on the line, we need to start thinking out of the box and say, how do I take the automation as is? How do I improve on it? How do I radically change it? How do I basically stay ready for the newer entrants that are coming up? And how do I ensure that the bank's profitability increases? I hope I have given you a perspective on technology and the markets and connected to the banks. And if you have any questions, I would be delighted to take.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mr. Mitru. I have two questions. Though you have highlighted the issue of response time being very prompt and refreshed, but how do you manage the issue of bandwidth and the large traffic in case there is a large number of people who are logged on and suddenly the market rises, we see that the sites crash and people are not able to complete their transaction. And secondly, what is the disaster recovery mechanism you have in place in case of some failure?
Okay. Bandwidth is a basically consistent struggle because earlier when we started automation of exchanges, a 64 kilobits lease line used to be very large. Today 1 Gbps is not large, right? So effectively you need to continue to upgrade, update the entire network, but even from day-to-day basis you have sometimes huge upsurge on a particular momentary basis, and people have issues that their pipe is not able to take that data load, and so you need to encrypt, you need to compress and send it to them, and you need to also continue to optimize that what data you need to send, and that data is not stale. In our business, today, because my response time is 200 microseconds, anything I send after additional 1 to 5, 200 microseconds is stale. If I send you information, it's like I give you an example of television. If you are watching television cricket, which is real time, we call it live, right? And if you, what you are watching is coming to you probably after 4 to 5 seconds. A bowler is taking his stance, he runs through the ball, he gives the ball and the batsman hits, ball reaches the boundary, and then actually the transmission to you comes. Because there is a way 36 cameras are actually recording, and then it goes to the satellite and comes back, processed and comes to you. It takes 4 to 5 seconds. That's a stale thing, because imagine if your friend is sitting in the stadium and calling you up on real time and saying next ball is 6, and you look back and tell your wife that next ball is 6. If you do it 3 times, your wife will think, no, you know a lot of cricket, you don't know, right? And it's basically you are playing on the stale information. And for us, at our speed, now 200 microseconds is a stale information. Anything beyond that is stale information. And that's why we need to optimize and also know if you, how do you send, what kind of data you send, at what speed you send, and what sort of cross-section you take. We also keep something called tick-by-tick data. We have 5,400 stocks, and sometimes today I get 50,000, 60,000 orders in a second, although my capital is 5 lakh. But today around 50,000 orders in a second come. Should I send every detail to everyone? Then it will be probably 10 Gbps. Or should I send a little less to different people who can handle only that part of it? On the disaster recovery side, we have a near disaster recovery in Vashi. So in case we go down due to, and Bombay Stock Exchange has been bombed before in 1993, So it's not only a conceptual thing, it is actually real danger for us. And if you come to BSc, it's like a fortress. Getting in is a tough thing because of anti-terrorist squad and everything, everyone kind of waiting to search and seizure and stuff like that. But effectively, for us, there is a near DR site and then one more far DR site in another seismic zone in Hyderabad is going to be inaugurated sometime in this month or next month. And so basically we take it very, very seriously on the DR site because our business cannot get delayed by more than 200-300 microseconds. And stopping it for some hours, sometimes it does happen. But effectively you try to spend as much as you can and take all precautions that you don't delay things, you don't go down and so on and so forth.
So with this I request, thank you very much sir. I request on the present trophy to sir.
Thanks, Ashish. I think it was an amazing presentation. Can we expect a round of applause to Ashish, please? And you heard him. He's the man behind the IT of NSE and also the BSE, which is the most efficient stock exchange and perhaps one of the largest in the globally. So just to honor his presence at this event and also his the contribution for making our IT in the financial sector so efficient, we would like to honor it with a trophy and an award from all of us at FITPS.
Thank you very much sir.